What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One set. What's up, everybody? How we doing out there? My name is Jim Green, along with my co-host, my best friend and brother from another mother, Anthony Irvin. What's going on, man? What's new this week? Let me talk to him.
Not much, man. Let me talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a crazy weekend. We didn't do too much on Saturday. I think it was a little bit of a washout Saturday, I think, from what I remember. And then Sunday we took little guy to Diggerland up in New Jersey, West Berlin, New Jersey. So that was fun. Because he's big into the construction cars and everything and doing that. So if anybody hasn't been there before, it's a pretty cool thing to take your kids. They get to experience being on like the excavators and diggers and stuff, and they get to ride on them, and they have activities for the kids and everything. So it was a cool time. He really enjoyed that. And on your side, I mean, we saw that you were at the Eagles game this past when this comes out, it's gonna be Friday, but this past Sunday you were at the Eagles game with the Commanders.
Yeah, so Saturday. So I had off Friday. I have most of my I'm not scheduled to teach Fridays right now. So I knew Saturday morning I had rehearsal down in Maryland, so I was just literally just kind of chilled out Friday, didn't do too much. Saturday rehearsal down in Maryland went well. I was messaging you. I pulled an audible on the music and the concept of the piece that I was setting, which was good because I have the piece starting with one song and then it switches over to another song and the whole thing completely 180s, and then at the end of the piece it turns back to the original song.
Right.
And I'll share kind of the details with you about that offline, or maybe on one of our Patreon postings. I can kind of go into depth with that a little bit. If you're
Absolutely.
not following along with our Patreon, patreon.com/1 set pod, as you can see right down here. Follow us. Go do the thing, right?
Do it.
We have a lot of exclusive content that, sometimes we'll mention stuff here. Like, I don't talk in depth about a lot of my work here, but I'll kind of do a little splash of kind of my creative juices and where things are going with some of my work. Obviously not giving away too much, especially if it's for this current season. I don't put too much out there for the obvious reasons.
Right.
But I do also kind of go back and talk about, previous ideas that I had that, really thrived and were successful. But at any rate, I was excited when I changed the music over because the core kind of swerve of the concept, the music that I had, which was actually suggested to me by a very formidable colleague of mine. Shout out to my sister Kim. Sup, love you. And I loved the idea, but it was really hard for me to navigate the music because it's not something that has like a steady rhythm. So I was like, I mean, I know I could be able to grasp it, but getting 18 dancers on board with the timing and getting it to look clean and presentable, I was like, this is gonna bomb. So I went with something, a familiar track, which and I'll tell you, and I'll share it with our Patreon subscribers later on. I went in there and I was able to crank out a good amount for them. So the piece, I left Saturday feeling like, okay, this just took a turn in the right direction, which I had anticipated. So that was good. And then got home. I didn't sleep great the night before I went in. I slept all right. I fell asleep at like 9:30 p.m., which is super early for me. And then I woke
Yeah.
up at 3:30 a.m. and then I didn't go back to sleep. So it was actually all right because I woke up at 3:30 and then I had to get on the road from Maryland at like 8. So I was like awake. So by the time I got
Right.
down there and I was ready to go, it wasn't like, oh, I just woke up an hour before I had to leave, like showered, got myself together and got out the door and was like
Mm-hmm.
not ready to go yet. Especially, when it's like an hour and a half or 2 hour ride in the morning to get to the rehearsal, it can be
Mm-hmm.
very, very just like mentally draining, right? So, any rate, it was actually a blessing in disguise that I woke up so early and didn't fall back to sleep. And I was like, I got to like 5:30 or 6 o'clock. I was like, I think my day has already like I'm just gonna do the day now, right? So I got home around like 2 or 2:30, and then the rest of the day, I was just like, I'm just gonna chill out. I didn't have anything like I didn't have to go or be anywhere else, so I just chilled out. Um, Cheyenne was away uh, on a girls' trip for further birthday celebrations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
she was out having a good time, which it was 4:30 Saturday afternoon. So I'd been home for a couple hours, and a buddy of mine who has season tickets to the Eagles games reached out and he was like, I have 2 extra tickets for tomorrow. And I actually had Nutcracker rehearsal Sunday, like scheduled. So my immediate response was, sorry, man, I have rehearsal. And then it was probably like 3.5 hours later. And I was like, I haven't seen him in a long time. I mean, we did a show
Uh-huh.
back in March, but didn't really get to catch up so much. So I let my Nutcracker director know, like, hey, I'm gonna miss this one. I'm catching up with a friend I haven't seen in a long time, and he is great about it. I've been at the other rehearsals, and some of the other parents that are playing um, like parent figures in that Nutcracker,
Mm-hmm.
they've missed here and there, and so I didn't feel like I was letting anyone down per se. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do a for me thing, and the Nutcracker's not for 2 more months. So I was like, it's not like the show's next week. I felt
I
oh
was gonna say, yeah, it's not like it's like dress rehearsal and everything. You got to be ready for like a show in like 7 days.
sure. So I felt okay. Like I don't call out of work. And granted, this is like I'm volunteering my time to be a part of a Nutcracker because I've never been part of a Nutcracker. And I was like, hey, I've been doing this dance thing for almost 30 years now. So that's why I kind of like dove into it and was like, sure. Like when I was asked, I was like, I'd love to participate. Like I'd love to be a part of it.
Yeah,
Um,
sounds cool.
yeah. So reached out to my buddy and said, hey, did you get rid of those tickets yet? He's like, no, I still have them. I was like, all right, I think I know a person that might be able to go. And I reached out to him, my buddy Mike, who I've mentioned on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
He was unavailable, and I went through everyone else that I thought could maybe go. Um, Nobody could go. You had the Diggerland thing already, like, and I was like, "There's no way he's not doing that."
Yeah.
And like, I reached out to my brother Nick, and he asked, like, "Okay, how much are the tickets?" So we were like 18 rows back from and off the corner of the goalpost. So we saw the end.
Nice.
We had a good view of the end zone, which I
Yeah.
never I never sat like watching a game from that angle. And we'll talk about that in a second.
Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencaster. Zencaster is the ultimate base podcasting solution and now the all-in-one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high-quality podcast with studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layer backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. When you're talking about hydration, hydration is not only for people training for championships and marathons. We're talking about daily maintenance people. Jim, did you know that 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated?
I believe it, Anth. I mean, honestly, in my line of work, dealing with teaching children and also dancing with adults my age, younger and older, I can almost tell based off of how well people not just perform athletically, but how we carry ourselves and how we communicate back and forth, our facial gestures and just our energy alone. I can tell when somebody's sluggish and they're sleep deprived versus they're just sluggish because they're a dried up sponge because they are dehydrated, right?
Absolutely. And for people like me who are working the 9 to 5, and, for me gigging at night, proper hydration is definitely crucial to maintain function throughout the day and keeping yourself energized. And that's why proper functional hydration is essential. And who's going to give it to you? Liquid IV, because Liquid IV is the #1 powered hydration brand in America. Their hydration multiplier is the one product you're missing in your daily routine. I like to use it first thing in the morning. I've been doing a lot of workouts here and there, so I pop it in my water bottle first thing in the morning. Gives me a little boost of energy of what I need. And sometimes during the day when I'm doing that like 2 o'clock rundown, I'll pop a little one. If not in the morning, it gives me a little bit of that energy that I need. With just one stick, you can hydrate real life 2 times faster than water alone, plus get essential vitamins and 3 times the electrolytes as the leading sports drink. And not only that, Liquid IV comes in 12 delicious, refreshing flavors to keep your hydration routine exciting.
Yeah, Anth. I mean, for me personally, like my day to day, I'll wake up and pop a liquid IV just to get my day started and start off with proper hydration. And then I am like required to be physically active between the hours of like 2 or 3 p.m. until 9, 10, 11, sometimes midnight if I'm doing a backup gig. So I'll do another one maybe around noon, 1 p.m., and that'll keep me going throughout the day. And I just feel so much better. I don't even drink coffee on the regular like that because I don't need to pick me up unless if I'm like really just not sleeping much. And then I'm like, all right, get me that. I don't like to rely on caffeine unless I absolutely feel like I need it. Liquid IV does the trick for me. I don't know about you.
Again, one stick with Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficient than water alone. It contains 5 essential vitamins with 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drinks, and it's made with quality ingredients, non-GMO, and free of gluten, dairy, and soy.
Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. They partner with leading organizations to fund and foster innovative solutions that help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50 plus countries around the world.
Yeah, man. Real people, real flavor, real hydrating. Get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use our code OneSetPod. That's OneSetPod and at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code OneSetPod at liquidiv.com.
Long story short, as if this isn't already a long story. Like I'm not drawing this out.
You weren't too
Um,
far from where we were in the preseason game that we went to. We were
yeah.
like literally looking at the goalpost where you guys had the side view of the goalpost. So,
hmm
I mean, we were literally probably like two sections away from each other. So it really wasn't too big. And it was a nice little spot. So,
Yeah. So anyway, my friend finessed it so that like I guess he arranged for someone else took the one ticket and I went on my own. So um got up Sunday morning, Ubered into the city, did the tailgate, um and
nice.
it wound up his buddy that he found um to take the other ticket that I could wound up being an old friend of mine who I rarely ever see anymore. So
Hmm.
good to catch up with him for a little bit. Um, and then it it was just like if I was like, okay, it's like gonna be upper 70s, maybe 80 degrees, which we had almost 2 weeks of like rain and it was cool
Rain.
weather here. So I was like, okay, it's gonna be a great day.
It was perfect.
Yeah, other than like it was like deja vu from when you and I went to WrestleMania, and the next day I'm like, I got sunburn on my neck.
I got sunburn too, all
Yeah,
on my neck. Like, I can never get my I can put all the sunscreen on my neck, it still gets burnt.
I just it was October 1st, and just like
Yeah,
when we went to Mania in the beginning of April, I was like, I'm not getting sunburn at this point.
right.
Like it's fine. Um,
And then the sun's like, bam.
bam. I mean, I was wearing jean pants. So I was a little warm. I wasn't like dying sweating or anything. And I had a Foles
Yeah,
jersey, short sleeve. So like my arms got a little color, but where we were sitting, the sun like was here and then it worked all the way back here. At you you were probably same end zone if you felt it on your neck. Like it came in right here real hard.
yeah.
Like yeah. So I mean I've had bad sunburn before, like on my back, on my feet, like
Hmm.
where on your shoulders where you're like, "Oh, this is so uncomfortable." I'm like, "It's not
Yeah.
it's not that bad." Like, I'm managing it, it's whatever.
I
Um,
literally got sunburned during our pool episode, and I did not have any like head care or anything, so my whole head got sunburned for the first time during the summer. So it was just peeling after a couple days, and I'm like, great.
well, you haven't had your hair like that short for that long. Like, you've only really started taking it down in the past, like, maybe year, 18 months, right?
Within the year, yeah.
Yeah.
So it just usually I'll have like a hat on or something, but we were all exposed that day, and so I felt the effects that night into the next morning, and I was just owling myself up, and it. But that was like the first like big like sunburn that I had. Like I usually get one bad one each year.
Yeah, and I didn't get burnt through the I think I was on the shore one day this past summer, and I put sunscreen on because I was like,
Hmm.
I had I had rehearsal the next day, so I was like, I can't get burnt. Like I,
Right.
thought about it.
Can't
Um,
afford it. Yeah.
right. Like I don't want to be in pain, and I didn't have like a rehearsal that was gonna be like a light rehearsal. I had rehearsals that like I had to like be on my A game, so I was like, can't do it. Um, any rate, cool to watch the game from that view. Obviously, if the opportunity presents itself again, I totally would. I did feel like there weren't that many big plays that happened that I was like there were no major receptions in the end zone that I was like, whoa, that was wild. The game itself, I mean, we won in overtime by a field goal. Like
Yeah.
I expected us to be more dominant, and actually the Commanders showed up and they figured out our defense. Like they had our defense's number, I think. Um,
Yeah. From whatever, because I didn't get to watch any of the game, I I listened as we were going back home to like the last maybe 2 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then the whole uh, time of the overtime. So other than that, I was just kind of listening to the score. I would just check my phone here and there, and like you said, I was expecting this to be a squash thing, either because I mean last year we had the Commanders beating us for the first loss. So when I saw that it was like 17-13 and we were down we were down 17-13. I'm like, oh, here we go. This might mean hopefully this doesn't happen again. And once I started turning on WIP, it seemed like the offense was doing okay. We had our ups and downs there, but the defense just couldn't get things running. There wasn't any turnovers or anything during the game, but it was definitely, I think the Commanders definitely came in, ready to play, and we again just kind of underestimated it. And I think again, we knew this season was going to be a little tough, but I think the teams are still finding their way.
Yeah.
4-0, but I think we're still finding our way.
Yeah, and again, people say a win's a win. Winning is winning, right? But I mean, except for if you're, you know, betting and you're not getting you're not covering the spread, right? Which I don't even know what it was like for
Yeah, I
that
don't know
game.
either. I didn't check.
I was just like, all right, we're 4-0. That's good. Obviously, the records count when you are talking about, entering the postseason, which I don't see us not. We've talked about like, oh, come on, we're definitely going into the postseason. It's just let's know how to be the team that we know that we can be before we get there. So we're not trying to figure it out in the postseason. Right?
Yeah, I'd rather have these mistakes now than like in week 14 or 15 when we're 3 weeks out from the playoffs, knowing that like we're messing up and having these issues still. Like hopefully by that time we had fixed and fine tuned a lot of these things within that.
Yeah, that mid-November to January stretch is like, that's when it really counts. Everybody's really fighting at that point, right? So, playing the Rams on Sunday, 4:25, I believe is the time. I'm gonna miss it because I have work this weekend, like Saturday and Sunday. It's an all-day thing that I have to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I had a good time at the game, and yeah, I mean, that was my weekend. Other than the bigger stuff that we're gonna talk about that happened Sunday night.
Yeah, and before we get into that, I totally forgot to mention that Saturday night I got to give a shout out to this tribute band that I saw Saturday night.
Please do.
This band is so I'll briefly talk about them for a sec before we get into what we wanted to talk about. But the band is called Jam Capital West. So they are a tribute band, and they play a bunch of tributes to Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, the Beatles, a lot of blues rock music. And, I've been kind of following them over the last couple weeks or months, I'd say a couple months, and just kind of, interacting with them on Facebook here and there. And, I've been trying to see them. They've been in the area here and there, but every time they were either like a couple minutes from the house, I had something going on, I couldn't make it, or this, or I was just out and I didn't realize they were in the area. So I saw that they were in Wilmington, Delaware, and it actually was not as far as I thought it was. It was actually right down the street from a venue I used to play with when I was in my other band. So we got there, and they were playing. They came out and for any Hendrix people, they came out and started with Stone Free. They played a bunch of Hendrix to start out, which was awesome right off the bat. I played some Stevie Ray Vaughan. They had a block of Beatles, and it was cool. And then the lead singer came up to me during his their set break, which I was very surprised because I didn't want to be the one to go up to him and fanboy out, be like, "Oh my god, you guys are so awesome!" But it was cool that he actually came up to me and acknowledged me for that. And So, we talked a little music, and, just saying that you don't see a lot of like blues rock cover bands around here. It's usually a lot of like top 40. They're covering a lot of the top 40 music around the area right now. So knowing that, these guys were playing, they were still playing like top 40, but like it was like top 40 of like the, 60s, 70s, and 80s almost. So and for people who know me, I mean, I don't play too much modern music these days. I grew up with a lot of those blues rock bands. So for a band that strictly plays that type of music, I am all for it. And they were tight. They, played everything to the T. To me, with like cover songs, I love people that can, put their own spin on it, but people that can play it by the book. You're never going to get a song played 100% like the record, but like the guy was just on it with the Hendrix solos and the Beatles songs. They had a female singer who was beyond amazing. Her voice was really good and it meshed well with everything else. So if you guys can, if you are in the area, go check out Jam Capital West. Their facebook.com/jam capital west. I'll put it in the description. If anybody's into blues rock, you guys got to check this band out. And if you're a fan of any of like, Hendrix, Eric Clapton, the Beatles, Stevie Ray Vaughan, I promise you will not be disappointed. Those guys know how to play. They're a good time.
Yeah, I just found them on Instagram and immediately follow them. And I know it's them. And their handle is jam_capital_west. Like,
yep, that's them.
I,
Yep, so that's them on Instagram as well.
Yeah, I literally typed in Jam Capital, and then I went to their page, and it showed the flyer for when they were playing down off Kirkwood Highway in Wilmington, and I was like, I mean, that's definitely them, right?
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, follow immediately. And
so shout out to Alfred, who is the lead singer. So I got to talk to him. So shout out to Alfred. He was a really nice guy, and the whole band was awesome. I mean, they had a bass player, drummer, lead guitar, just one guitar player. Alfred playing lead guitar, rhythm, and vocals. I think their female vocalist name was Sam, and they had a keyboard player. So a really basic setup with everything. They all mesh really well. So they really had a great sound going.
Yeah, and you did invite me because I told you I was just sitting at home chilling, and you're like, I mean, you can come, and I was like, nah, man, you're going out with your dad. Like, get that time in with him, and I'll come check them out another time with you. So,
yeah, I'll definitely have you come out another time because I think you'll dig it. I mean, I know it's not your central type of music, but I think anybody who like listens to that can get into it. And my dad doesn't get out as much as it is, but he was kind of rocking with it and kind of tapping, and he was clapping after every song. So I'm like, all right, at least I knew I got him out, and he enjoyed the night. We both had 2 beers. We had some food. I picked up the tab for him, and I'm like, dude, hey, just don't worry about it. I got it tonight. So at least I got him out, gave him a couple drinks. We got some food, listened to some great music. So it was a good time.
Yeah. I mean, you sent me a few videos, and you also posted some too. And I was like, first thing you sent me, I was like, okay, like these people are good. Like, and like when you know a band, you just know good sound when you hear it. Like when a band jives together, and I'm like, they didn't just form yesterday. Like they've had to have been doing this for a little while, or maybe not. But
yeah, he was saying he's been playing music for like 25, 30 years. And with this band that he's been doing that I saw, he's like, it's taken me a couple years to kind of find the formula of people to really, come in and be dedicated. Because just with me, even, it's hard to find dedicated musicians that want to be on the same page as you, the same passion. And you can find musicians, but it's the part of just being able to find people want to practice, get better, practice the songs, and do shows and stuff. Some people just want to play music and hang out and do what they want, which is not a problem. You guys want to do it to hang out and do a little something, that's totally fine. But for people like me who actually want to go out and perform these songs, that's a totally different ball game,
Yeah, definitely.
So
Should
so just one more, just go follow them on Instagram and Facebook. We'll put their links down in the description below for you guys. So again, if anybody's interested in any blues rock music, Hendrix, Steve Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton, the Beatles, you guys are fans of those, and if you're in the Delaware, New Jersey, PA, southeastern PA area, the tri-state area, if you guys are listening within that, follow them, go check them out.
For easy, man. And like I said, I would love to go and check them out with you. Not
for sure,
super far from home. I know like Wilmington, Delaware area anyway, so it's all good. All right, man. Ready?
Yeah. Let me go grab a beer and we will get this going. So we'll pause this because I need something before we get this going.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay, but yeah, now we're back. All right. Yeah, we're just going over a couple of our lists and stuff. Hey. Yeah, I'm just going over my list. And, just like I said, I have just single wrestlers. I figured if we want to get into more detail with, I know we were talking earlier today, about obviously with the debut of Adam Copeland to AEW. We saw the debut. Well, we didn't see it live. We've been everything's been kind of rumored that he was going to AEW, but he finally made his debut this past Sunday. And, I think the first thing, me and Jim were talking about was obviously the first match that's going to happen with Edge is going to be that triple tag between him, Sting, and
Darby.
What's his name? Darby, right?
Allin.
And then Darby Allin, and then Christian and his crew. So, because he just won the TNT championship off of Darby. So yeah, that will definitely be probably the first match that we'll see with Edge. And then we were both saying, hopefully we get the Edge and Christian match right after that, hopefully,
Yeah, I mean, it seems to make sense that it will go that way. And I imagine we're going to get an Edge versus Sting match.
I was thinking that too down the line, like a heel turn, then it gets to be Edge and Sting. That would be a decent one. That wasn't on my list, but I was thinking of that too.
So the way that I see it panning out is you, because we're gonna do a top 5 on like I have a couple tag teams, like if they go the Edge and Christian, yeah. For those that are wrestling fans, we're gonna go back and forth between calling him Edge and Adam until we get good with not calling him Edge, or if we don't, we don't. You know who we're talking about here, okay?
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I have. I feel. So the way with his debut was he came in and made the save for Sting, right? And Darby Allin, because Christian and his two guys who I don't know their names because I don't watch AEW like that. Like I know some of the other talent by like Eddie Kingston. I know him. I mean, because he had he had feuds with MJF and CM Punk. So like I'm aware of who he is. I know who Darby Allin is. I know who Orange Cassidy is. Because they're both like pretty big. I mean, Ray Phoenix being a lucha. Your luchas and your high flyers, I don't see being. I mean, at the same time though, it's like Edge, Adam Copeland, could probably work easier with smaller guys that are high flyers because he doesn't have to bear their weight because they weigh less, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean I have like my 5 down with like 4 other names that I'm like I could swap them in and out with a couple based off of what I want to see, but I think that there are names in my top 5 that he definitely wants to work with, and when I say definitely I mean 3 I'd say 3 or 4 of them. 3 of them are a lock, and the 4th one is like a strong possibility. And my 5th one, I think, could easily be swapped out with the other 4 names, and we can talk about them when we get there. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anyone big here. And I, again, I
Yeah,
think
I'm just writing down a couple things. Yeah.
I think that like in my top 5, I don't have Christian in here because I think that's happening. Like I think that's
Yeah, I just took that
100%.
out because yeah, it's happening. So I took
That's
that out, but I wanted to keep it in as a reminder. But yeah, it's not as a top 5 because we know it's happening.
yeah. So okay, I got through the men's roster, and okay, cool. I don't have Sting in my list either because I think that somehow it's either going to be. I think they do this triple threat: Edge and Sting and Darby versus the like Christian and the other 2, and
Mm-hmm.
it's either. Okay. I think they do this 3-on-3 match. Okay, one of the guys with Christian is Luchasaurus. He's like the big guy with the mask. So he's Adam Copeland's first match on. It's actually Dynamite next Tuesday. They're doing Dynamite on Tuesday. I think it may have to do with postseason baseball. I think that
Yeah.
because they move around when it's postseason sports and stuff like that.
Yeah, because they're TNT, TBS. So yeah, definitely
Yeah,
it has to do with the baseball.
sure. So we're getting Adam Copeland against Luchasaurus, which I think is going to inevitably set up that 3-on-3 match.
Mm-hmm.
At which point I see maybe they try to show Edge taken out backstage, and then it's Christian and Luchasaurus and whoever the other guy is, I'm not sure his name,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
against Sting and Darby Allin. And Sting and like Darby Allin's going to try to carry the match because Sting isn't going to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
Edge is going to miraculously like recover from being backstage to coming out and helping out, and then he just turns on Darby, and then it sets up the Edge versus Sting match, right?
Right.
So that gets Edge aligned with Christian as a heel, and then it sets up for all of these other matches that I have here, and then I think we get Edge versus Christian as like the double retirement match, and that's going to be like they wrestle each other as their last absolute match, and that's them both saying this is all we ever wanted, and that's what they're going to do, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have Christian on the list because I think that that's going to be both of their last matches is against each other, and everybody wants to see that. I don't care if you're a WWE fan and you're against AEW.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go out of your way to see that match, right?
That's the only time I think you'll be seeing WWE wrestling fans, whether they feel crappy about AEW or not, they will, throw down their walls to go watch AEW just to see those two, fight in that match. Because that's something that, like you said, everybody wants to see, no matter where and how they're doing it. It's going to be something that's going to be watchable.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your first match?
I think first we should, before we get into that, we first should talk about how how surprised are you? Or did you think it was definitely happening? Like, what percentage? Because, like, I was very like, I don't think he's gonna leave WWE, but at the same time, I was like, the guy didn't wrestle for almost 10 years or 8 years, whatever it was, because he
Mhm.
was forced to retire. And by the time he was brought back in, there were so many people that he did want to work with that he didn't get to work with, but they're over at the other company. And I think
Yeah.
that to me, like Christian being over there, it was like, well, when's Christian's contract up? And then once I heard, oh yeah, no, Edge's contract is coming up, I was like, there's a really good chance he's gonna go. And
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I'm actually at the point where I'm gonna pay attention because I want to see what they do for the end of his career.
Mhm.
He's like, I'm pretty sure he's Cheyenne's favorite of everybody.
Right.
So I woke up at like 6:30 this morning and just like was on my phone for a little bit and saw it, and I was like, "Oh, there he is." And then
Mhm.
and then I like dozed back off, and then she woke up and I woke up and I was like just waiting for her to find out, and she was like and I was like, "Yeah, I know. I
There it
saw
is.
yeah." And now I watched the video with the sound off because she was asleep.
Mm.
Um So I didn't think he had the Alter Bridge theme in there, and I told
Yeah, I was waiting to see what his music was gonna be, but then when I heard the "You Think You Know Me," I'm like, "Oh my god, he kept it." But then you were saying like
s
they never got the rights to it,
so
so I'm like, "That's perfect."
so whatever that song is that they got "You Think You Know Me" from, which I don't it was 25 years ago, I guess, when Edge, uh, like, was actually in WWF at the time, right?
Yeah.
When he had that original "You Think You Know Me, you think you know me, you think you know me, you think you think
Mhm.
you know me,
Yeah.
you think you know me." Yeah. Right? Yeah, so they redid the "You Think You Know Me." It's not the OG "You Think You Know Me." So I don't think that they had the rights.
It did sound a little different.
They did something to it. And hey, maybe WWE didn't have the rights to it, and Edge was just like, I want to tweak that "You Think You Know Me" and make it just so that it's not the same exact thing. But he's like,
Maybe they didn't have the rights to like the Alter Bridge song, but they had the rights to the "You Think You Know Me" part. So they had the kind of, it seemed like just the voice was altered a little bit.
all
Because that can like break a copyright. Kind of like how people on the internet they do like the pop songs. They'll transpose the vocal and make it a couple steps higher than what the actual voice is, and like, okay, we know what the song is, but we can play it now because it's not the actual lyric. It's not the original lyric. So I think that's kind of how they twisted it, to do it that way.
yeah, how they alter bridged it.
They alter
It-
bridged it. Oh.
yeah, that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think because she was awake, so she pulled up the video and played it with the volume on, and I was like, "Oh, it is Alter Bridge still." And then I got pretty pumped because I was like,
I got goosebumps when I heard. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
"Yeah, it's good, it's good." Um, so yeah, I like how they set up Sting for the concerto, and then they brought Edge in and they tease it. So they they used the chair because that the chairs with Edge and Christian is like a
Yep.
staple for them.
Uh
So I
huh.
was I
Hmm.
was glad that they were able to make it make sense, right? And Edge is at the point now where he jumped over to AEW and told Tony, like, you got to kind of let me take the reins here, the Roman reigns here.
The
Oh,
Roman Reigns. Oh.
yeah. um, I just thought I'll get back to that when I talk about the people. So no, I just thought of so many other things that actually add to the list that make the list make even more sense. I thought that the segment was done well overall. I thought it was cool. Um, I kind of wish that they did that at like one of their bigger pay-per-views because apparently there weren't like that many people in attendance. But that also is an attraction for people to go to those lower end pay-per-views because it's like you could get a
Yep.
debut of anyone.
Uh huh.
It's not just at their big. They have like I don't know if they have like a big four where it's like one a season, but they have All In and All Out, and I know Forbidden Door is pretty big because they get the New Japan people involved, which
Mm-hmm.
is great cross promotion because WWE never does that.
No.
Vince would never tolerate anything like that, right? Um,
Right.
So I thought the segment overall was done well, and overall I am happy for him, and I will be tuning in. And the big one is how AEW just cut a deal with Max, like HBO Max.
Mm.
They're
Yeah.
gonna be they're gonna be streaming their like pay-per-views or premium live events on Max in 2024. They might start it in December. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm definitely going to be checking
We,
those out then because already subscribed.
yeah.
Like so,
We both have it, so we're like, yeah, perfect. Yeah,
dude, perfect. Yeah.
dude, perfect. Yeah.
All right, let's get into these lists here.
Let's.
I do.
And do you have these in any specific order, or because me, I just named people. I didn't name it. I didn't put them in like I think I'll have this match first, then this one, then I just started naming guys off the top of my head. I'm like who I would probably think he would, or people I would think I would want to see him in a match with.
So I'm looking at my list and I'm like, I actually can kind of see the segue of like certain things I see panning out. The only thing I'll say is because Sting and Christian off the list because I think they're both happening. Christian,
Yeah,
100%.
that's in there. Yeah,
Sting, I feel like works with how they set it up right now, where it looks like Edge is on Sting's side. I see the turn happening, and we get the Edge and Sting match soon, only because Sting is older, and it's like we need to get that match in ASAP because he could be done like at any time.
tomorrow.
Yeah, seriously.
Or Seth
So
Rollins when you need him.
yeah,
Jesus, too soon? No, not
nah,
really.
nah, it's all
Not
good.
at all.
No, not even. I think so I see that panning out. So that puts you in a position where Edge is with Christian, so they can tag team together to give us these tag matches that we want to see with the two of them. But you can still have Christian because he's got the TNT title. Which at this point I'm like, let's have him keep that title as long as he and Edge are a thing, so that you can always have Edge backing Christian, so that when it's time to drop that title off of Christian, you can have that start to segue Edge and Christian dissension. And then you can start planning for that to break apart. And then you can have Edge go face and Christian go back. Well, I think Christian's just going to stay heel at this point because Edge is beloved by everybody and he's going to go in and out. He's going to be like Randy Orton where like you can turn him at any time and nobody cares. Everyone's fine
People
with
are
it.
going to love him.
Yeah. So that being said, you said you have a list of like 5. You don't have them in any specific order?
No specific order. Just I'm like, all right, this person, that person, this, that,
Right.
and that.
All right. I'm gonna let you go first because I think, yeah, my number 5 is like kind of a wild card spot. I could fit anyone in there, and then I really think 4 is gonna be 4, and then I think 2 and 3 could go either way, like timeline wise, and I think number 1 is number 1. And then I think after number 1, it's he can wrestle a couple of the other younger guys to try to get them over, and then you do the Christian
Yeah.
match, and then
I have a
he's done.
Yeah, I have a feeling we may have maybe 2 or 3 that are on the same, same wrestlers for us. So, I mean,
I think too
we'll probably
confidently
cross paths
3.
a couple times.
Yeah, go for it. You start first.
So yeah, the top of my list, again, no order in it. I'm just going from top to bottom. My first one that I thought of was Bryan Danielson,
Okay.
because I think that was one Edge. Adam was saying when he came back, I think that was one of the wrestlers he was talking about. He wanted to have a match with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's when Bryan went over to AEW at that point. So obviously that wasn't happening in WWE. So I would be glad to see him and Adam be able to have a one-off or a double match series to kind of go off of. That would be cool. Because
Sure.
I think Bryan's on his way out too, I heard. So that would be something that would have to be done within the next year or two. I don't know how long Edge is contracted for AEW, but it seems like he has a full-time contract. Quote me if don't quote me. I might be wrong about that, but I thought I heard full-time, but I don't know how long. Maybe a year for right now. But yeah, Bryan Danielson, I would like. Yeah,
sure. And just because I have like kind of an order to mine, I'm like, I know when we listened to LTG, they did like the back and forth thing for their orders.
yeah.
If you're cool with it, I kind of just want you to go through your list so that I can
Yeah.
like I can just tally up like, okay, cool. If you're good with
So
it.
I'll go. Do you want me to go through my whole list and then you go through yours, or?
Yeah. If you're good
Okay,
with
cool. Yeah. So then we don't have to go back and forth. Okay. So then the next person on my list is Eddie Kingston.
it. Okay.
So I keep going back to his promo with CM Punk. I think it happened maybe last year. I knew Eddie Kingston, but I didn't know of his wrestling persona, or I've never really seen him cut a promo. But his promo with CM Punk that one night, dude, I was like, yo, this guy is awesome.
That to me was when, like, because I heard his name, I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen him wrestle,
Right.
and I was like, this could be this guy's coming out party. Like, it could take him. Like, he held his own in the ring with like, a legend on the mic. Come on, like let's be honest. Yeah,
and you can tell like the realism in his voice and the promo. It was, again, he made me believe the words he was saying. So I'm like, all right, this guy's got it. So I would think that would be a cool, one-off for Edge to get in a small feud with him eventually down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, and I think this is a dead giveaway just because you and me are big fans of him, Jericho. You gotta put Jericho. You gotta put Jericho in there for obvious reasons. Number 4, Kenny Omega. This was not necessarily a throwaway, but I was kind of thinking, okay, I mean, I could see Kenny Omega. I mean, I haven't watched AEW as religiously. I think when it first came out, we were trying to keep up with it for the first couple months, but then we started fading away from it. But Kenny Omega coming into it when he was coming in New Japan, then going right into AEW, he had this big, star power to him. But now I feel Kenny Omega's star power and stardom is like kind of died down a lot. So I haven't really been watching a lot of his matches. I'm not sure if he still has that star power to him, and we just haven't really been hearing much of it. But when I hear Kenny Omega still, I feel, okay, he's probably still one of the top wrestlers in that company right now. So I think, a Kenny Omega and Adam Copeland match would be a cool match to really go to as well.
Okay.
Number 5 is MJF.
Okay.
I think that would be a cool match because I've really come fond of MJF over the last couple of months. I've been seeing what he's doing, and he's one of the not necessarily like the newer guys, but he's been there from the start as well. But I think he's definitely been on the rise over the last year, and you can just tell from the wrestling community who watch AEW. 9 times out of 10, somebody's always talking about MJF on there. So I think MJF would be a cool match to see. And I would think whether he still holds the belt at that time or if he doesn't, I still think that would be a cool match to see.
Sure.
If I can just put 2 more out there, these are tag teams, or unless you want to do tag teams later, unless you have a tag team in your list.
Dude, why don't you just... I don't have a tag team on my... I actually have a separate list of a few teams that I started getting to. And I mean, come on. I have 3 teams, and they're like kind of the obvious teams here. I mean,
yeah, I think one of them is one that we talked about. Yeah. So I'll let us at least talk about that specific one later. But there was one that I just thought of because Adam Bowen from The Acclaimed, he was on the podcast Taste Buds, Hey Babe, and Chrissy Chaos with Chris DiStefano. Sal is a big AEW and wrestling fan. So for him to, do a podcast with Adam Bowen, and I have yet to really see him in the ring, but just the fact that I've seen him on the podcast, seems like a cool dude outside of the ring. I would love to see, him wrestling. And, so I would think that would be something where if Edge and Christian do get into a tag team position, which I would think we do see that eventually, I think the Acclaim would be a cool tag team, because that was Billy Gunn's kind of, little tag team that he had running around with them as well.
Yeah, I mean,
and the last one was the Hardys. So
right, like, so I think that to me, again, it's kind of like the Edge and Christian match where it's like people are going to watch it. Like, to me, it's a money draw. If they put that on a pay-per-view, people are going to be like, oh my God, we're getting Edge and Christian against the Hardy Boys in 2024. Like,
yeah. What year is it?
Yeah. What year is this? Yeah.
Yeah, it's money.
Yeah. So I don't even think I have to say any more than that. I think it's happening because I think all 4 of those guys will go to Tony Khan and be like, make this match happen, because like,
yeah,
people will want to see it. And what's
just book it.
Tony Khan's not going to be like, you're all old and washed up. This isn't really an attraction. He's going to be like, oh, people are going to want to see this, and he's going to see green and say, let's go, right? So,
because a lot of these guys from our era are on their breaking point to being done as well. So, I mean, Matt and Jeff Hardy are definitely on their way out. So that would be a big retirement match for the 4 of them, in their tag team type of, era. So we can make that as like a last, tag team match between, the Hardys and Edge and Christian. Then you eventually down the line get the Edge and Christian final match, so
it would be wild. And this is like real fantasy booking here.
I like it. Let's go.
But it's something that's never been done. If they did a fatal 4-way elimination retirement match between Edge and Christian and Matt and Jeff Hardy. And like, obviously Jeff Hardy has to go first because he just needs to be done. He's been in so much trouble as is. And then you have Edge and Christian team up and just get Matt Hardy out of there, or have Matt look like he's showing life in there, and then you get Edge and Christian against each other in the final, and then I think Edge has to win in that scenario. I don't think they're going to do that because I don't think Matt would want to go out that way, unless if he was like, this is a pretty cool way to go out and I'm okay with it. But I think he has too much pride to be like, yeah, I'm retiring because I was in a 4-way match. Like, but at the same time, like, come on, like,
It would be a cool concept, but I can agree.
Yeah, I don't think Matt would go for it. I think he'd want to see himself off into the sunset differently.
Because especially for those two teams, I mean, even for a retirement match in general, I think just having that match, like the Edge and Christian versus the Hardys, that would be a good retirement match. Or just the Hardys in general having their own match to
double
one-on-one
retirement.
or some type of thing with them. If it's not Edge and Christian, they want to have something that's going to be able to be like, okay, we did it this way. We did it together and we're done together, so.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, and not for nothing, but like, should we talk about like the Edge and Matt Hardy and Lita debacle? Like, forgot about that one. So I think, yeah, if you did Matt and Jeff in a retirement match, like Jeff would be like, I mean, I've had so many chances when I shouldn't have had extra chances. Like Matt would get the win, and Matt would also be like, hey, you got to win the WWE Championship, and I never got to win the big one. So
yeah,
let me have this moment. And guess what? Nobody's gonna care at that point anyway. Like,
no.
I mean, so all right,
let's get into your list.
sure. I spoke freely a couple times after almost an hour of recording, so I was like, let me jot these down. So, okay, I'm gonna go with my number 5 was my gut instinct, and I was trying to think like, okay, not all previous WWE guys, right? Like, you got to throw some other people in there.
Yeah.
But my list is heavier on that front because I think a lot of it makes sense, right? My number 4, I'm actually gonna call like a toss up. It's either this one or that one. I don't think it's gonna be both. I'll get to number 4 when I get to number 4. My number 5 is Adam Cole, and I think it's because he's smaller and he's an up and coming guy, and he's Shawn Michaels 2.0.
Yeah.
He's a safe bet. He's fantastic on the mic. I think what really sucks is he's running into like injuries like off and on right now, which is like he's getting back from one injury, he's on TV, and then he's put out again. Sucks.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love the guy. Like I've been a fan of watching him since he debuted in NXT and the Undisputed Era.
Yeah, you were a big fan of those guys.
Man, they just ran house. They were awesome. They were like the DX of NXT. I loved it.
Yep.
So my number 4, which I was like, this could be my number 5, and I could bump Adam Cole out. But I was like, I wanted to put someone like younger that needs to be elevated because the other guys on the list are already like up here. And I was like, I think Adam Cole is the best guy that he could go through Edge, and it could really take him to where we want him to be, right?
Yeah, I like that. I would put Adam Cole as an honorable mention in my list.
Yeah, for sure. Number 4, I have Kenny Omega because I'm like, he is one of the most well-renowned, professional wrestlers, sports entertainers in the world. How's Edge, Adam Copeland?
Yep.
I'm probably going to do Edge, Adam Copeland until I see him on AEW Dynamite a couple times, and then I'm like, okay, they're calling him Adam Copeland. I think it's cool that he got to bring the Rated R Superstar name over. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good.
And my flip-flop with Kenny is Chris Jericho because I'm like, okay, I don't think I think they're definitely doing Kenny. And if for some reason, let's say Kenny gets not injured and like it just never happens, again, who wouldn't want to see Edge versus Chris Jericho in 2024? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like they
Like I
haven't
said,
been,
it's a given.
it's a given, right? And I think I could see Chris Jericho saying, I want to wrestle Adam Copeland in like one of my last matches. He's here.
Yeah.
And he's someone that I've worked with. So stars align like that. It makes sense. And that's almost why I'm like,
Yeah.
I have Jericho over here on the outside of the list where I'm like, I want to put him on my list, but I also think that's one of those like Sting and like Christian. I think it's definitely
gotta
happening.
happen.
It's definitely
Yeah.
happening, right?
Because I mean, arguably so, you can say Jericho is the face of AEW.
So it's like between him and Kenny and
Yeah.
and it was Cody, and the Young Bucks were after them because the 5 of them were the executive vice presidents of the company when it first started, right?
Right.
So come on.
Absolutely.
Like, I know it's like, oh, they don't have any creative control anymore. It's all Tony Khan now. I think that's a load of crap. Just my take.
I think they have a little bit more freedom than what they would be able to say in WWE.
Right.
I think they can freely go to Tony and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Let's try to make this happen. And not like you're going to Vince saying, like, I have this idea. Let's try to make this happen. Like, no, good. No, it ain't happening.
No. I think Tony's trying to be pretty good about making everybody happy because the other company, the E,
yeah,
they want to for like a small amount of people. And then everyone else are like, you can kick rocks. You can go elsewhere if you want. Like, right? So, yeah. Jericho is like in the list, but also because he just made the list, but he's also almost a very much
no pun because he made the list.
He made the list. Yeah. It's also like, come on, how is that not happening at this point?
Yeah.
People
I'd be very surprised. Like you said,
yeah.
The only way it wouldn't happen is if there was an injury between one of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Knock
on wood.
My number 3 is MJF because I feel like he is the guy that came into AEW as like, you know, people knew him and knew he was good, and he really went from like, I mean, Hangman Adam Page did get the belt, but he didn't hold on to it very long, right?
No, he didn't.
Everyone wanted him to be the guy, and I think that they put the belt on him, and then they were just like, he can't be the guy that carried the belt, like, not right now, like. So like Adam Page is like an honorable mention on the list because again, he's not a big guy. You said Eddie Kingston, and I like, while I can see it, Eddie Kingston's a big dude, and I don't think Edge is interested in facing very many big guys at this point, right? Like, and that's just, yeah, I think Edge and MJF is money. People will want to see it, but I don't
100%.
think that they will want to see that as much as my number 2, which is Jon Moxley, which I'm actually surprised he didn't mention.
How did I forget him?
Yeah.
Oh my god. How did I forget Jon? Jesus.
I mean, you know, Edge had his few matches or feuds with Seth Rollins. He had the couple with Roman Reigns, right?
Yeah.
It only makes sense. He does the Jon Moxley thing. Like, I think that's a given. Like, you can take that and try to figure out your list at this point.
If I really had to change anything, I would probably swap Moxley for Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, so. easily. Come on.
If I had to change anything, I would swap those two. How did I forget Jon Moxley? I don't know about that. Thank you for the reminder. Jesus.
Yeah, no problem. This is why we were texting like 12 hours ago earlier today, and I was like, I want to talk about this stuff, but we can also save it for the pod. Now I'm glad I saved that. Just getting your reaction, you're like, oh,
exactly. Whoopsie. Yeah. See, it's good.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about Jon Moxley. Well, he's still out. Well, no, he's he's back from his injury, right? So, or did he just left from another injury? I forget. I heard he either just came back from injury or he just left because of an injury. I think it's B, that I think he got hurt in one of his most recent matches and he's out for a little bit.
So I think what
I'll
happened,
double check.
he was supposed to go on like a long vacation hiatus, because I think either him and Renee got married, and he did the big pay-per-view and was supposed to take time off, or they had just had their first baby and he was supposed to take time off. And what he did was, when he was supposed to take time off, was when CM Punk got let go, suspended, like when the whole altercation happened the first time. And he came on Dynamite that week and was like, I'm honestly not supposed to be here, but I'm here because like I chose to be here.
Yeah.
He's like, I believe in AEW, I believe in this company. And he stuck around for a little bit to help,
basically calls out CM Punk, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's like really, I know he's been, wrestling people and doing things, but I just don't think he's been as relevant because he's not in. I think he was in a title match and he didn't win. Or no. I think because CM Punk had the AEW title when all of that happened, and then they suspended him, and then they crowned a new interim champion, and I'm almost positive it was Moxley that they put it on because he did that.
Yeah.
And then I think that's when Hangman Adam Page won it off Moxley, and then I think Moxley went on vacation finally, right?
Yeah.
So I think since then he's been more of like a backstage support like guy, like a leader in the locker room. And he's gone out and done matches, but he's also like, I have like an infant or a toddler at home. Like, I want to be a dad, so this is a very okay time for me to like lay low and not have the heavy highlight on me right now. Right?
Right. Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, MJF has the belt right now. He's had it for a bit, which very deserving. I do think, and this is another conversation, we didn't even talk about Jade Cargill signing with WWE, and we can save that for when she actually like debuts in WWE. Like, we know she's signed, we know she's there. They're already promoting her.
Yeah. Which again, and we can touch briefly. I'll give you a brief thing. I don't even know why they had I don't even know why they had the debut. They could have just waited until the Royal Rumble and made it that much more of a surprise, because she's just going to show up in the Royal Rumble. Or since they already announced that, people are going to want to see her now anyway, but they'll probably want to keep her at the Performance Center until they know that she's ready.
Well, I now I think that they hyped it up because they knew Edge was gone. I think they knew Edge was going. Like, I think Edge had the conversation with Triple H or Nick Khan, whoever at WWE. He was like, out of respect, I'm letting you know, like, contract's up and I am signing with AEW. I'm going there. My guys are there. I don't have a lot of time left, and I will have more opportunity there to do what I love to do than I will have here.
And I don't think they were going to give him everything else that he wanted to, do there as well. Because, I mean, I read something that, when he came in, he had a list of everybody he wanted to, at least wrestle. He didn't get to do everybody. But I think some of them ended up moving to AEW. So I think that's probably was one of his choices there too. He's like, all right, well, I can knock more of these people off my list by going to AEW. And, they were also saying, I'm sure Edge didn't mind not Edge didn't mind having Sheamus as his last match in WWE, but I don't think it's the way he would have wanted to go out, because he deserves a pay-per-view retirement match. He doesn't deserve just a SmackDown. I mean, hometown match, that's cool, but he deserves a pay-per-view big retirement match.
Sure.
So that for the career that he had and a comeback that he's had, he deserves something better than just a Friday night, 20-minute match that half the people aren't really going to be watching. You want pay-per-view main event, all eyes on you.
Right.
That's what, and I think he was probably seeing more opportunity of that happening in AEW than probably what WWE would have done. Not saying, well, you can't really say they probably wouldn't have done it, but I think he probably saw it more happening sooner in AEW than what he probably would have been able to do in WWE and waiting around for that time to happen.
Sure.
Because he knows he's on a limited time. So,
yeah, and I think he just saw opportunity to do more and be more impactful. In AEW than because I think he probably just knows in WWE, yeah, I'm Hall of Famer. And I think he probably just felt stagnant in that, yeah, I'm well respected here, but I want to feel more. And I think that,
and he's done everything that he's needed to do there.
And he's not going to do anything of a higher significance in WWE. He's not beating Roman Reigns. He's not none of that. And I think he knows the person to dethrone him, it's not me and it shouldn't be me. And he's I think he knew he's helped so many people out through WWE in the last even 10, 15 years, even when he was retired. He was helping people out, just having conversation with them and just being able to pick his ear was big, right?
Absolutely.
All right, onto my list. I threw Andrade on here just because I love Andrade.
Yeah.
But I threw him on as an honorable mention, and I did read that someone said that he wants to work with Samoa Joe, which totally wouldn't hate that.
No, I wouldn't mind either.
And I think because Samoa Joe was doing the Ring of Honor Championship, so if Adam Copeland wanted to help try to bring Ring of Honor up to elevate that, I could see him trickling into there and getting involved for a little bit just to put eyes on Ring of Honor, right?
Yeah.
Totally see that. Just my two tag teams real quick. The Edge and Christian versus the Young Bucks. It's almost like Hardy Boys, just new gen Hardy Boys, right?
Yeah.
But I could see the Young Bucks wanting to face Edge and Christian just to be oh my God, we got to face 100%. Edge and Christian. Yeah. So I can see that happening. And it's a good way to have an Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys match, but have younger talent in the ring to help carry the match, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So totally wouldn't hate it by any means. Hope it happens, actually. I have FTR on the list just because I love the Revival in WWE, and FTR is the current AEW Tag Team Champion. So if they wanted, if they wanted to put Edge and Christian together and have them have an AEW Tag Team title reign, even if it's short lived,
that would be good.
Do that. It makes sense, right?
Yes.
So
I agree.
I have. I mean, the match with Moxley could be whenever. I mean, you could have Edge go on and take the belt off of MJF, and Edge could literally be AEW World Champion. It could happen quick because they know, hey, you're old, not old, but you're in your 50s and you have previous, career-ending injuries. They could do it sooner than later. And okay, Bryan Danielson is my number one pick. He's number one on the list, and he was number one on the list as soon as I was Who do we want on face? And again, Bryan Danielson having also had to retire
for the same thing. Yeah, almost.
The story writes itself, right? So
He was the first one I thought of too.
you can either have well, it really depends on how they write Adam Copeland as like a face or a heel, because that'll determine okay, to make the wheels spin correctly here. Okay. You have Danielson take the belt off of MJF, and then you have, I mean, MJF, he's supposed to be a heel, but everyone loves him and what he's doing. I think the move was supposed to be to have Adam Cole beat MJF, or maybe they go that route, and then maybe that's how we get Edge versus Adam Cole, right? You put the belt on Edge, and then you can have Danielson take it off of him. I think the Edge or Adam Copeland and Bryan Danielson match should be for the belt. It'll make that match a little bit more special. But I think Edge is going to drop Edge. Adam Copeland, based on he shook Darby Allin's hand and he held his hand, and the camera angle changed to show Darby Allin shaking his hand. Darby Allin wins the AEW World title off of Adam Copeland is the biggest rub that you could do for a young talent. Bigger than anything that's been done for a young talent winning the belt in AEW. That builds the next era of AEW where it's like, okay, now you have this guy that we have groomed from the ground up, and you have him, and you can have Sting get involved because the story is all writing itself and it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Edge passes the torch to Darby Allin. The young guys got the belt, and then you have him feud with other young guys, and then you can start segueing to Edge and Christian for the retirement match, because I think he gets the belt. Come on, they're going to give him the belt, right? And then
I would like to see him have one more small title reign. That would be nice.
Yeah, and it wasn't going to happen in the E because he didn't need it.
No,
but him having it in AEW, and whoever beats him for the belt is going to make that next person, which is why I think, because he did the handshake with Darby Allin before he shook hands with Sting, writing's on the wall for me right there. Okay, I did my honorable mentions. I got everyone in there. I talked about the tag teams. That's everything I have written down, and even just talking it out loud, because things have been stirring up in my head since it's happened, makes me a lot more excited that we're getting to see this. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely be watching we'll be, if not watching, we'll be keep paying more attention to AEW now over these next couple weeks and months as Edge, Adam Copeland starts making his waves through. Now, I don't think he's going to be on every single, show that they have, because they have Tuesday, Wednesdays, Friday and Saturdays. So, I mean, they have a lot of shows. So,
yeah, I mean, they're only on Tuesdays if the Wednesday nights aren't a thing, right?
Right. Yeah. So there's three shows.
And Rampage on Fridays is pre-taped because they record it. Because Dynamite is live on Wednesdays, and then Rampage is like Sunday Night Heat, where they used to pre-tape it, or when SmackDown was on Thursdays, but they recorded on Tuesdays, and everybody forever will go online and read the spoilers. So
yeah, right. And then Collision on Saturday nights,
which I think
their newest show.
They were counting on CM Punk to carry that show. They were like, we're going to make him the guy for Collision. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Adam Collision a lot to try to boost those ratings, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I think that's it
I'm
for
looking
now.
forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited. I know it's getting late. We got a little late start because Monday Night Football, right? Which
Monday Night Football.
I mean,
it was kind of a little bit of a whack. I mean, it was one sided for most of the game, but yeah.
I mean, there was a chance of the comeback, and then the interception to 97-year-old return it all the way down. I was just like, this game's over. You're like, all right, let's get ready.
we're like, yeah, how about we wait until the end of the game? Then the interception, I'm like, all right, or we can start right now. Like,
we watched the Gunther versus Ciampa Intercontinental title match on Raw, and then it's like, all right, let's get going. Let's get ready. So
yeah, and we got the DIY, rub. So that got cut off. By the way,
very WCW,
very WCW, absolutely. So we'll get to see more of that next week too. It'll be cool. So, yeah, man. Again, great time to be a wrestling fan. Edge, Adam Copeland is in AEW. We're looking forward to it. Let us know in the comments. What do you guys think? What matches do you want to see Adam Copeland in AEW have? Maybe it's some of the same ones that we were thinking of. Maybe it's somebody different. Maybe because we don't really watch AEW. We're not big AEW fans right now. We haven't been watching religiously as we do our WWE. So if there's somebody we missed or somebody you would, think that would be a good fit for him, let us know in the comments or, hit us up on the Gmail, onesetpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. We're not on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. If you want to see us on Twitter, Twitter doesn't exist anymore. If you want to see us on X, hit us with the X.
Where's Steve Harvey when you need him?
Yeah. But yeah, guys, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of One Set. My name is Anthony Irvin. I'm here with my co-host and best friend forever, Jim Green. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bud, do you have anything else to say to the lovely viewers before we get out of here?
Yeah, didn't talk about the Phillies, but again, they are going to be done the wild card series and maybe out of the postseason. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but we will talk about them.
Let's hope that we get more of the Red October going, man. Yeah,
we'll talk about more of them next time if they get to the divisional series with the Braves. All right.
Yes. Let's hope Phillies get through the wild card. We'll talk a little more about that, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
All the love.
One
Thank
set.
you. One set.